Welcome to Chapter 4 of the HIPAA Security Rule. In this chapter, you'll learn about the HIPAA Security Rule technical safeguards. Technical safeguards involve adopting technologies, policies, and procedures for its use that protect data and control access to it. There are 5 standards under technical safeguards: access control, audit controls, integrity, person or entity authentication, and transmission security. Some good examples can be data backup, firewalls, encryptions, and so on. Access control standard requires organizations to implement technical policies and procedures for electronic information systems that maintain EPHI to allow access to only those persons or software programs that have been granted access rights. There are 4 implementation specifications for this standard: unique user identification, emergency access procedure, automatic log-off, and encryption and decryption. Unique user identification is assigning a unique name and/or number for identifying and tracking user identity. Emergency access procedure is establishing procedures for obtaining necessary electronic protected health information during an emergency. Automatic log-off is implementing electronic procedures that terminate an electronic session after a predetermined time of inactivity. Encryption and decryption are implementing a mechanism to encrypt and decrypt electronic protected health information. Let's do a case study on access control. The employees of Rance Incorporation, a healthcare provider, all use the same username and password to access an application that contains EPHI. During a staff meeting, Alexa told all the employees that each of them will have a unique username and password because of the access control standard of the HIPAA security rule. Is Alexa correct? Yes, Alexa is correct. Having unique usernames and passwords is a HIPAA requirement, and it helps track and identify user access and identity. Audit controls. The audit control standard requires that an organization must be able to produce a detailed audit trail of all user access and activity surrounding EPHI. An audit trail is a report that tells you who accessed which data and when it was accessed. The report includes digital certificates to verify users. A digital certificate is an electronic password used to authenticate that a user is who he or she claims to be. Here are a few ways organizations can implement this safeguard. Implement monitoring systems that track user activity on your computers. Create an audit and accountability policy for your staff. Stay up to date on security-relevant events at your office. Keep reports at least for 6 years. Integrity. The integrity standard requires organizations to have policies and procedures in place specifying that EPHI cannot be in any way improperly destroyed or altered without detection until disposed of. There is one implementation specification: mechanism to authenticate electronic protected health information. Implement electronic mechanisms to corroborate that electronic protected health information has not been altered or destroyed in an unauthorized manner. Person or entity authentication. The person or entity authentication standard requires organizations to implement procedures to verify that a person or entity seeking access to EPHI is the one to be claiming this. Example: requiring a password that a user must enter to log in. Modern approaches include implementing a biometric identification system or digital signatures. Transmission security. The final standard, transmission security, requires organizations to implement technical security measures to guard against unauthorized access to EPHI that is being transmitted over an electronic communications network. There are 2 implementation specifications: integrity control and encryption. Integrity control is implementing security measures to ensure that electronically transmitted EPHI is not being improperly modified without detection until disposed of. Encryption is implementing a mechanism to encrypt electronic PHI whenever deemed appropriate. Required versus addressable. Unlike the required specifications, rules that are itemized as addressable are slightly different and offer more flexibility. These are not, however, optional. Covered entities and business associates must fully understand this. While often being technical, addressable specifications allow organizations the flexibility to use discretion and implement various security measures to accomplish the objectives of the requirements. As an example, if you were given an addressable specifications to surprise and present someone with a birthday gift, you can either make it yourself or buy one from a store. It doesn't matter as long as the person receives the gift. Each organization must assess whether an addressable implementation specification is appropriate and reasonable for their practice. It is to be noted that for each addressable specification not implemented, organizations must describe and fully document why they chose to either not implement them, use a different method, or implement a partial solution. You've successfully reached the end of Chapter 4. Congratulations! In the next chapter, you will learn about becoming HIPAA security compliant.